Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Kolebu Renal Unit resumes outpatient services after nearly 3 weeks of shutdown, but renal patients still have concerns. We'll tell you why. Also, National Peace Council in a desperate bid to clamp down on fake news as it identifies a widespread of misinformation and disinformation.
Council has held separate meetings with the Chief of Defence Staff and the IGP to discuss issues of national interest and to also look at their preparation for the upcoming election.
Much later on the program, demands for clarity on $3 million expenditure for media broadcasting production for all the African Games. Details shortly. Thank you very much for joining us today. Now, the National Peace Council is calling on news editors and the media to promote conflict-sensitive reporting in the run-up to the 2024 general election. The council notes with great concern the spread of false information and hate speech by political actors and individuals. A situation it says can have untold consequences on the conduct of the polls. Speaking at a meeting with news editors in Accra, Chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Adu said there's a need to tackle false information because it has become more important.
One of the most significant impacts of misinformation on the election process is the erosion of trust in the democratic system. When voters are bombarded with false information, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to make informed decisions. This undermines the very foundation of democracy and leaves voters feeling disillusioned and manipulated. When false narratives dominate public discourse, it becomes challenging to separate facts from fiction. In addition to misinformation, hate speech played a significant role in the 2020 elections. Hate speech does not only contribute to a toxic political climate, but also undermines the principles of democracy and equality. The impact of hate speech extends beyond the election period. It perpetuates a culture of division and animosity, making it increasingly difficult for different political factions to find common ground. The polarization hampers meaningful dialogue and obstructs the search for shared solutions to complex issues. When inflammatory rhetoric becomes commonplace, it desensitizes individuals to the impact of their words. Respectful and civil discourse is replaced with insults and personal attacks, degrading the quality of political discussions. It is for these reasons that the need for conflict-sensitive reporting is very crucial in our media landscape.
Reverend Dr. Ernest Adu also gave some other details as regards how the media can help to ensure that there is peace for this year's general election.
The Council has held separate meetings with the Chief of Defence Staff and the IGP to discuss issues of national interest and to also look at their preparation for the upcoming elections based on earlier dialogue with the security services. The Council has had several meetings with the Electoral Commission to discuss various issues of concern and sought clarification on matters that the public had brought to the attention of the Council. The Peace Council has had dialogue with the Women's Wing, party communicators, the Youth Wing of all the political parties. The Council has provided training in alternative dispute resolution, ADR, for all the political parties to help them resolve problems amicably. The Peace Council has had dialogue with the Council of Elders of all the political parties to evaluate the events in the political space, to determine what we could do together to minimize the tension and possible violence in accordance with Section 3C of the National Peace Council Act 818, which obliges the Peace Council to promote understanding of the values of diversity, trust, tolerance, confidence building, negotiation, mediation, dialogues, and reconciliation.
And you heard that the chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Adijamfi, Christian Yale, is our man following this issue for us. He joins us live on the line. Chris, what else has come up at this engagement?
All right, and so the National Peace Council says that it has learned from its mistakes in the past during the 2020 elections, and since thereafter, it has held series of engagement with all stakeholders who are involved in the electioneering process. Among other things, the Peace Council talks about how it engaged stakeholders in about 5 constituencies that were hotspots or where instances of violence occurred during the elections, especially talking about Techiman South, Sabirigu, Awutu Senya, as well as Ododo, among the others. Now, the Peace Council has also, as part of ensuring that the 2024 election is seamless and violence-free, has established what it calls the Political Party Trust Platform to promote dialogue and consensus building among the political parties and institutions of the state. Now, the Peace Council also mentions, for instance, how it works to ensure that the National Democratic Congress returns to the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, which is IPAC, which is one of the major achievements that it is touting right now as one of the key things that it has been able to do over the period to ensure that as we gear up for the 2024 elections, all the political parties.
We seem to have lost Christian Yale on the line. We'll see whether we'll be able to reconnect to him and just wrap up our conversation there, because we understand that the Ghana Journalists Association has also been speaking at this event, and would like to know really the commitment of the GJA towards peaceful polls come December 7, 2024. And let's see whether we can wrap up our conversation with Christian Yale. Christian, if you can hear me, I just talked about the GJA speaking at this event. Can you give us a wrap of what the representative there has been saying?
All right, so the GJA is saying that as the media must be the watchdogs because in most instances, although social media proliferation is encouraging the spread of false news and what have you, the traditional media or the media houses that are known for churning out information must be watched on and encourage conflict-sensitive reporting. Among other things, the DJA is saying that it is continuing to even embark on series of engagement as well subsequently in the run-up to the elections with various editors and media houses to ensure that the deal or the net in the bag are all misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, which the GJA says has become one of the main issues that they have had to address on a regular basis.
Thank you very much, Christian Yale. He's our reporter following that engagement between the National Peace Council, the DJ, and some other stakeholders. Bringing us updates there. Thank you. We stay on election-related matters, and the display of the provisional register in all the polling stations across Ghana is in day 2. The exercise is conducted in accordance with Regulation 23.1 of CI 91. The exercise is to enable registrants to verify their details as captured during the registration exercise. It is also to afford voters the privilege to request for amendment, replacement of poor quality or damaged voter identification card, or make insertions of names when necessary. In addition, qualified persons are given the opportunity to raise objections to names of unqualified persons, i.e. deceased, minors and non-citizens, on the provisional voters register at the centers. Day 1 was marked by low turnout, as has been the case in past exercises. But let's check with Noble Crosby and if the situation changed on day 2. He joins us live on the line. Crosby, can you give us a brief update on what's happening where you've been?
Right, Beatrice, if you come to the places where I visited today, and I'm talking about two constituencies, the Ayawaso Central and the Ayawaso East constituencies. The polling.
Hello, Crosby. Okay, our lines are not helping us so much, but we'll try and reconnect again to Noble Crosby Annan, who is monitoring the situation for us at the voter exhibition centers for us. And as soon as we do get him, we'll bring you a situational report of what's happening within the centers he's visited. But let's bring you this one. And pressure is mounting on the Youth and Sports Minister and the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation to provide clarity on the controversy surrounding the cost of media broadcast production for all African Games hosted in Ghana. Disclosures by the Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation insisting that they had received only some $105,000 following the sports minister's claim of over $3 million had raised lots of eyebrows. A further clarification by the ministry this afternoon is revealing over 6 companies, JBC inclusive, which received the said amount to oversee media broadcasts of the games. And Kelvin Owusu-Ansah is with our sports desk. He's got some answers for us. He joins us live in the studio now. Kelvin, just let's start with the confusion over the last 24 hours since the minister spoke. Can you just bring us up to speed, really?
Well, I think it's all about clarity, and I think that if you're in a public office, you should be able to speak without any ambiguity. There should be that clear communication, and he had the facts of it, or the ministry had the facts, but how to put it out. And I think it's always been his problem. So he wasn't able to actually break it down what came from the GBC
105.
Yes, the Director General, Professor Amin Mohammed. I think that he was also being a bit mischievous, to say the least, because
just give us the facts.
If you had the details or the entire matter, as GBC were the official broadcasters for Africa Games 2023, that is Accra 2023, but they spoke to the ministry that they don't have the capacity for the production, and even with official broadcast right holders, they still have the technical people who engage in the production work. So GBC were only going to have the feed and distribute to the rest of the world or sublet to all others who wanted to watch it.
Let's take it step by step. When you say GBC said it didn't have the capacity, are you talking about equipment or financial capacity?
The equipment, the personnel to do it. Because the ministry had agreed that they were going to pay that money for them to have that production. But they did not have the capacity with regards to the technical people, the outdoor broadcasting vans and all that.
And then
even
what happened?
The standby generators and then the sort of cameras you need for sports, broadcasts. So they decided to contract other people or other companies. There were some in Benin, some in Togo, some in Cote d'Ivoire. I remember the AFCON was produced by an entirely new company in Cote d'Ivoire.
So those were the 5 in addition to GBC making it 6.
They just let them out to help, and not to just speak in vacuum. You look at the list of companies, and these are the companies. PGS, they were supposed to be paid, that is $2,056,534. They had Quality Media Production with a sum of $1 million. There was the production room, which cost $57,030, this time in euros, not dollars. There was Silicon Productions, and they had $165,000. We know Silicon is very much popular in Ghana because they are here. We have Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, $105,000. And then we have Positive Communication, $20,000. We have satellite charges. That is $65,149, and then exchange rate loss of $30,000.
So the question is, the Director General was right in saying that GBC received.
Yes, the benefit that came to them, because he was very much specific. So if you listen to the two, nobody has aired. But I think the details, you get it, is the breakdown that has brought the confusion, which last night the ministry made it clearer with the release that they put out. And now with the further and better particulars from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, as in the request of approval of contracts and invoices for the 13th African Games. And this was dated February 28, just before the games. So all these companies, and it was signed by Professor Amin Alassan, which the Director General of that is a Sports Authority also was part of it, and then the Sports Minister also penned his signature to it that they had agreed that they will sublet it, but the GBC are going to make those payments. And the GBC even made it clear that only one of the companies which they allowed the Sports Ministry to make the payments. And the Sports Ministry made it very clear that it was only one of the companies that they paid 1 million Ghana cedis. If you look at the release from the Sports Ministry,
which came out last night.
Yes, which came out last night. Another amount of $1 million was paid to the third parties upon the instructions of GBC in accordance with the contract.
Kelvin, I want you to hold on. We also have sports analyst Jerome Autry on the line with us. Jerome, I know you've been following this as well. I'm just wondering how, okay, we've lost Jerome Autry on the line, but so in essence, we've got the breakdown, and the total amount still stands at that. There's no controversy on it.
There's no controversy on that because the minister said over $3 million. And now if you look at the figures, it amounts to about $3.5 million. So there isn't any, confusion with regards to the details. But it was all about the breakdown that the communication failed from the people, from the two gentlemen who spoke. Now, okay.
We have Kevin on the line, so Jerome on the line. So I'll let you land on your thoughts when we're done. Jerome, like I said, I know you've been following this as well. I'm just wondering what your own understandings of things are and how you interpret what's going on.
My understanding is confusion and miscommunication of what should have been a straightforward matter of the country contracted to take care of the broadcast of the African Games did their business. From what I've been playing out in the media, there's clear confusion, and I have been very surprised that a matter such as this will get into the space that it has got into. Listening to the sports minister the other day, if the clarity he has provided now is what it is, I don't know what stopped him from maybe giving those better particulars.
You don't know, but are you able to give a wild guess as to why he said what he said, which has resulted in this controversy, as it were? Okay, our lines are really not helping us. Jerome Autry, hopefully we're able to get a better connection and continue with our conversation later. But Kelvin, just give us your final word, and then we'll move on from here.
Well, I think it's all about, every time I speak about these issues, and I always think that, it's not always about being in a public office. You should come and give details of that. At times you need the technocrats to actually discuss with you. You get the full details of everything, then you're able to at least give it out properly or disseminate that information. And I think this is a lesson to that is the Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf, and even for Professor Amin Mohammed, who is the Director General for the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Very good one for them, and a lesson to each and every one that clarity is essential. But what we are asking is, if this was the amount paid, the sort of coverage that we saw.
You want to go into that controversy? We'll finish today.
No, I know. I'm just stating, did we have the value for our money? And I always ask these questions. Sports content is gold for every media house. Why is it that the government had to pay for us to broadcast an entire Africa Games, a sporting event for the whole of Africa, and then the government had to pay for the broadcast right holders when we could have actually sold the right to get enough revenue, and then use it for other things. A lot surrounding these issues, but I'm sure, further development in other bulletins would bring all of them out. We are still going on around with investigations, whether the monies were actually paid to these companies or not.
All right, thank you very much, Kelvin Owusu. He's with our sports desk. Thank you for helping us with this conversation, as well as Jerome Otre, who joined us earlier on the phone. It's some 20 minutes past the hour of 12. You're still here on the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. Some other issues right here in Accra. The renal unit at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, which had been closed for nearly 3 weeks, has now resumed operations with dialysis services restored. The closure prompted the Kidney Patients Association to plan a protest at the unit's premises as the situation led to the deteriorating health of many patients. Several patients are seen suffering from swollen feet and abdomen due to the prolonged lack of dialysis treatment at the facility. They are not confident this reopening can be sustained. Godwin Asideba is with our health desk. He's following this for us. He joins us live on the phone. Godwin, the facility has resumed operations. This must be good news for patients, isn't it? Godwin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Beatrice.
Excellent. Can you tell us what's happening there and whether or not patients are taking this reopening as really good news for them?
Right, indeed. It's a good news for most of the kidney patients who have their dialysis done at the renal unit here at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Beatrice, I can confirm to you now that dialysis is in session for those who have been arranged to come for their dialysis today. The initial protest of these patients who had arranged to have picketing done within the premises of the renal unit has come to a halt, if I should say, because what was supposed to be a picketing has now actually calmed their nerves after they realized that the renal unit had been open to have their dialysis sessions. So, yeah, I can confirm to you that most of them are happy, even though some of them are actually really sad because the closure of the facility, which lasted for almost 3 weeks, has had a deteriorating effect on their health. Most of them are seen around the premises with swelling abdomen. Some of them have swollen teeth, yellow eyes, and these are some symptoms as a result of not getting their dialysis done. And it shows how, if this has proceeded for quite a long time, some of them may be losing their lives as some have already, died. So, yeah, we have been speaking to the president of the association, who has also mentioned that the Kolebu Teaching Hospital making a statement that some of their patients have not lost their lives is not true. Indeed, he confirmed to me that he can mention names of people who belong to the association who are currently no more. I mean, they are dead. And this is actually really, distressing. Most of them have also been raising concerns about the fact that they would have to go to private facilities.
All right. So, Godwin Asideba, we'll have to listen to the president of the Renal Patient Association, Bafwa Hinkwa.
And I have just a higher cheap. Now, you're quite wanting some water. We to meet us 1 week. 1 week, we just
You arranged for a picketing today, but it looks as though most of your patients are not here to join you in this exercise. What would you describe what is happening here as?
Yes, I would say that's even if I not be like the first, the way we be that is some we are trying to show you are here to cover it, to show that we are picketing. The way we wanted it to couldn't get live. And one thing is most of we are sick. All of us are sick. We don't have that screen. I'm sure yesterday some of us who saw late night, I slept them. So when I came in, some of us affected.
We'll have to cut that sound there. We do apologize for the poor quality of it. A lot of wind in it. But that was Bafwa Hinkra. He's the president of the Renal Patients Association of Ghana. Earlier, you heard Godwin Asideba reporting to us the situation at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital as the renal unit reopens for patients to have access to its services. To the Ashanti region now, where the Ministry for Land and Natural Resources is stepping up efforts set to bring a lasting peace to the long-standing conflict between residents of Tontokrom in Amansia South District of the region and mining firm Asanko Gold. A clash between private security personnel of the mining firm and residents over a mining concession led to the death of 3 on March 3, 2024. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mekuduka, and a team from the Minerals Commission are to engage management of the mining firm and leadership of the community on the issue this afternoon. Ibrahim Abubakar is in the community. He joins us live on the phone. Ibrahim, the clash led to the death of some individuals. Are you able to, first of all, tell us what has happened since?
Well, Beatrice, as I speak to you, authorities say they are still investigating. In fact, when that incident happened, 2 individuals were arrested, but later they were granted bail, and that was the end. That's how come the community members were still boiling with rage. But since the incident, because of that death, the mining community or mining firm decided not to go to the concession where they have this incident, just so they will allow peace to prevail. So the residents are currently, I would say, happily working there, because all along their demand has been for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to establish a community mining scheme in the area, because all along they have been doing mining activity, and most of them say they cannot switch from mining to other form of working. So they wanted that community mining scheme to be established in the area so that they will have this resolution. But as I speak, and like we rightly mentioned, the minister or deputy minister, George Mekuduka, is in town. He has first of all engaged with the management of Asanko firm and trying to find out what really happened so that they will continue with investigation. From here, he will move to the community. But one thing he has been telling them is that as a mining firm, they cannot work in isolation. And for that matter, if there are differences between them and the community, it's important they settle it in a way that wouldn't result to any death or any form of disturbances, so that they will also have their peace of mind to go on with their operation. But then afterwards, they will have a closed-door meeting where they will try and formalize some steps or find out what they can do to make sure that this long-standing rivalry or conflict will be solved once and for all.
Ibrahim Abubakar, thank you very much. We'll have to come back to you for other details from this engagement. But Ibrahim Abubakar is our correspondent in the Ashanti region. Now back to Accra, where, contrary to expectations, academic activity is yet to resume at the Accra College of Education. Students who travelled home due to the prolonged strike are yet to return. Likewise, their teachers. Grace Hamwajuman is there. She's following up on this for us. She joins us live on the phone. Grace, just talk to us about what's going on now.
Yes, Beatrice. So it's half midday, and ordinarily students in the school were supposed to be moving to their third lesson for the day, but that is not happening here because the students who travel have not returned and their teachers are not also around. When you come to the campus, you see a lot of people there, but they are teachers or other teachers who are writing their promotional exams. They are on campus. The classrooms are being used as centers for the exams, and so CETA students or CETA trainee students are not there, and their teachers too are also not there. There's no academic activity going on as we speak.
Do we know when academic activities are likely to begin?
So we spoke to the deputy principal of the school, who told us that because of the examination and the fact that the classrooms or even the entire school had been closed for a while, they want to use the next few days to clean the school and prepare the facilities, and also for students who traveled and for teachers who traveled, might also use the opportunity to come back. And so hopefully on Monday, which is the beginning of a fresh week, serious academic work is expected to begin in the school.
Hopefully on Monday. Thank you very much, Grace Hamwajuman, bringing us details from the Accra College of Education. And that's how we end the news here on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Cocoa Board to save up to $150 million from its decision to self-finance its operations and purchases. We'll hear from Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin Adu.
We can save almost over $150 million by just not going. The decision not to go offshore alone can save us all that money.
Also, economist criticizes feasibility of proposed electric buses policy by the ruling New Patriotic Party.
Homes cannot even run 3 months without electricity break. So how do you now introduce electric buses? Where would they get power to charge these buses?
We have details of these and many more stories lined up for you. Do stay. Thanks so much for your time. In our first story, the Ghana Cocoa Board is poised to save up to $150 million in the 2024-2025 crop season, following plans to self-finance its operations and purchases. At a press briefing, CEO of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin Adu, announced the plan to self-finance instead of raising money through offshore syndicated loans to finance the purchase of cocoa beans for the 2024-2025 crop season, adding that there is an elaborate plan to wean Cocoa Board off loans with high interest rates from offshore lenders.
We weaned ourselves from the offshore international financial markets, and then we finance the crop ourselves here. And that's exactly what we are going to do. And I think it comes with a lot of projectory benefits. If we're able to do that, because this year we send RFPs for $1.5 billion, we're going to look for $1.5 billion. Looking at interest rates last year, which were over 8%, and plus other costs, it means that we can save almost over $150 million But just not going. The decision not to go offshore alone can save us all that money. And we need that money for other purposes. So, for the first time, we will not go.
You heard the voice of Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin Adu. There in more stories, economist Dr. Saad Idrisu has raised concerns about the feasibility of the ruling New Patriotic Party's proposed electric buses policy. According to him, the policy is deemed unrealistic in the long run as the country still battles with maintaining a stable power supply. He spoke to 3 Business.
Given the unstable power supply that is experienced in Ghana, how feasible is Dr. Bawumia's policy, that is the electric buses policy, in the long run? Because with every policy, you are not just interested in the short run effect on the economy, but in the long run, is it still feasible? I think that is what policymakers should be interested in. And as policymakers, we should be asking the government these questions, because in the current economy, or with the current situation we have with power supply, is basically zero. Homes cannot even run 3 months without electricity break. So how do you now introduce electric buses? Where would they get power to charge these buses?
You heard the voice of economist Dr. Saad Idrisu there. Let's shift your attention now to the Bank of Ghana as it clarifies rumors about hoarding of dollars by fintechs who operate on internal remittances. According to Kwame Opong, who is head of fintech and innovation at the central bank, these fintechs work in partnership with banks who tend to keep these dollars and not directly by the fintechs. Here's what he had to say.
All these entities only require 1 license each. And I repeat, 1 license each. I think it's important that we address that misinformation so that everyone is clear in their minds. 1 license each to be able to serve consumers in Ghana as payment service providers with the authorization of Bank of Ghana and licensing of Bank of Ghana. Secondly, from a supervision standpoint and from a regulation standpoint, we will all acknowledge that while the fintech sector is a fast evolving sector, Bank of Ghana has been agile and forward-thinking in putting in place policies that have become model policies for our counterpart central banks to also adopt to be able to capture the remittances that are being sent into Ghana, such that now we've seen significant growth in the remittance space as a result of it. You're seeing the role that fintechs are playing in there. You're seeing the transaction volumes that are growing year on year on the mobile money sector. These are all at the aggregate level indications that the policies that Bank of Ghana is putting in place is helping not just nurture the sector, but help grow the sector, create jobs, employment, and bring investment into the country.
You heard Kwame Opong, who is head of fintech and innovation at the central bank over there. Now, Dean of UCC Business School, Professor John Gachi, is demanding transparency from the government, urging them to publicly disclose the comprehensive debt portfolio of Ghana. He contends that the country's actual debt obligations far exceed the current administration's disclosed figures, particularly when considering debt incurred by state-owned enterprises.
2 components. We are paying for not managing the exchange rate well, so that is also reflecting on the debt levels. And then again, we are still borrowing more. That is an issue. But beyond the borrowing on our books, we have guaranteed some SOE debt that will also have to come on board. We have engaged in a lot of areas built up which are not disclosed. We call that hidden debt. Those debts will have to come up from wherever they are hiding. So the debt that you see will not actually be the real debt at the end of the day, especially if there is a change in government. Then the hidden debt will come up. They will know the real debt situation of the country.
That was Dean of UCC Business School, Professor John Gachi, demanding transparency from governments and urging them to publicly disclose the comprehensive debt portfolio of the country. Well, before we go, let's take a look at our top stories. Cocoa Board to save up to $150 million from its decision to self-finance its operations and purchases. Also, economist criticizes feasibility of proposed electric buses policy by the ruling New Patriotic Party, and the Central Bank of Ghana clarifies some rumored about fintechs in the country. My name is Manu. Afful. That will be all for Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, kindly log on to our website on www.3news.com. Do stay tuned. Urban Blend is up next with Black Rasta.